No, let me just say I've never been in this part of the country. It's kind of nice, beautiful drive coming up. And the cause is for a great cause when you talk about giving scholarships to kids. So I'm on board big time, looking forward to this evening, and I hope everybody has a wonderful time.
Okay.
With that being said, we can open it up for questions.
Dustin?
Mike, what's just obviously you've had a couple months to kind of process, your first 4 years of college coaching. How have you sort of self-evaluated? What do you feel like went well? What do you think you did well, and what do you want to do differently in year two?
Well, again, I took this job for one reason, man, is to win a Big Ten title and a national title. And we fell short of that. I thought our season was very productive this past season, considering where we started when I came in as a coach. You know, we had a lot of barriers to knock down. I mean, we were trying to put a ball club together where you had players that didn't raise their hand to stay on board, and we had to do a lot of damage control to make sure that we kept the right pieces in place, and it started with Trace Jackson Davis, and he gave me the opportunity to coach him. Everybody else seemed to fall in line, and then we were off and running. I mean, and um, we had our ups and downs, but for the most part, we made the late run that we needed to make to break that streak of not being in tournament play, and we were able to get in tournament play, and I was happy because it gave our kids who had never had an opportunity to experience that a chance to see what NCAA playoff basketball is all about, and so I just hope it's something that we can build on coming into this season because that's what it's going to take.
Zach, then Jim.
Yes, in particular, knowing Trace is back, having, I would imagine, just kind of your roster settled at this point. How do you evaluate it? What do you feel are the priorities as guys start to come back to campus as a whole? I assume early next month for you in terms of what you want to get done this summer.
Well, again, I mean, the process has got to be speeded up, man. I mean, um, when you bring in freshmen, freshmen are freshmen. They come from high school and trying to learn the college game. So I got to help them speed the process up. I think that they will play next year and be a big part of our rotation. Um, and then the guys that were here the last season, I need them to make a major step in terms of where I like to see this team go. Again, the only thing I'm pushing is first things first is trying to win a Big Ten title next season, and then once we get into tournament play, if we're fortunate enough to make that happen, then we'll go from there. But um, we're going to take it a game at a time, a practice at a time, and just see where it leads us. But we got a lot of work to put in. I know that.
Jim, Kevin, and Mike.
Mike, you mentioned having the important pieces in place. Obviously, Trey Jackson Davis making his decision known this week. What does that mean to you, first of all? But how important is that in allowing him to do what you're trying to do? And how are you going to balance growing his game while growing his team at the same time?
Well, again, that was the major piece to our puzzle, getting him back. I thought it was great that Race, made the commitment to come back, but I was chasing Trace all summer, basically, trying to get him to commit to come back, and things kind of fell in place for us. A week ago, I went out to LA to see him, and I went to Chicago, but he didn't show up in Chicago for reasons that he wanted to come back, and so I came back home, met him in Indianapolis, and he made the decision to come back. Now, he's got a lot that he's got to bring to the table next season. And I'm not going to put added pressure on him. And you know, this past season, it wasn't like we didn't tell him to shoot the basketball, but he's got to shoot the ball. I mean, and feel good about shooting them. And he's going to make some, and he's going to miss some. I mean, hell, I missed a lot of shots in my career, and I made a lot of them. But it's a part of the game, and I just got to somehow get him over the hump and make him understand it's okay when guys are playing off of you to shoot the 15 to 17, 18-foot shot and knock it down. So free throws has got to get better. I think he improved in a lot of areas last season. I thought, looking at his play from past seasons, but he's got to make a major jump, and we got to ride him um, pretty much like we did next year. But I think the supporting cast around him will be a lot better, and based on how I try to get them speed it up to get where I think they need to be to help us win basketball games.
Okay, Kevin, Mike, then Alex.
Yeah, Coach. How do you address shooting during the offseason? And are you a guy that believes in tinkering people's forms? Or what's your philosophy there in terms of maybe getting guys better?
Well, again, there was a article that my wife sent me based on past 3 or 4 years of Final Four teams and how they shot the three ball, and we ended up 33% in shooting the three ball, and we went through a phase. When I started the season, I didn't know who was going to be able to make threes, and we struggled, and then we went on a rage where we were making threes, and then coming down the home stretch, we got away from knocking them down. So I think when you shoot them, confidence has a lot to do with it. I think we've added a few pieces that I think uh, guys will be able to make the three ball, and guys that were here last season, they're in the gym now working on the three-point shot. It's a big part of our game, and I get it, but I still think you need low post play, and I still think your defense has got to be solid enough to generate offense for you. So, and we were pretty good in that area as well last season. So we got to continue to grow. But I'm happy where we are as a ball club. Getting Trace back was huge for us, and now we just got to get to the practice floor and build on it and see where it takes us.
Okay, Mike, Alex, then Jeff.
Coach, during the season, you remarked that you always had a core that can make threes during your NBA time. How much of a factor is that going to be for the development of the guys in the power forward spot during the offseason? And what are your overall impressions of that group, Malik, Race, and Jordan, and whoever else might be competing there?
Well, it's going to be important moving forward. I'm not going to put any added pressure because last year, guys, was the first time that I had ever coached a low post player and featured him in my whole career. That was new for me, and Trace and Race both benefited from it. But I just don't think if we're talking about winning a Big Ten title and going to the big dance and perhaps winning a national title, you got to have a balance, and it just can't be inside. And I'm just hoping that the summer work that these cats are putting in, it pays off for us because we're going to need everybody that's shooting on the perimeter to be able to make that shot if they're open. And, we got a lot of good looks last season. I mean, statistically, it shows that we're in the top 5 in terms of getting open threes. We just got to relax and make them.
Alex?
The non-conference schedule, obviously you got Kansas, who's been on the board that you're going to play Arizona. How is that coming along, and what else can you tell us in terms of what you're expecting to do in terms of non-conference schedule next season?
Again, I'm still new at this. I know we have that ACC
Big Ten.
and the Big Ten deal,
Yeah.
and I have no idea who we're playing there, but it's going to be somebody good. I imagine that. And again, like I mentioned coming in last season, I'm not taking any team lightly. I've never done that as a coach, so I don't think we have any gimmies. You guys might think that, but everybody that's on our schedule um, can beat you if you're not ready to play. And Kansas, Arizona are two great teams. That'll be competing at the end when it's all said and done. And we'll see what we made of when we face those two teams because they'll be pretty good.
Jeff.
Coach, Trace Jackson Davis said he thought one of the changes you guys that would benefit you guys is more of a focus on offense this season. Last season, obviously, started with defense. Sort of how would that play out, and how would an adjustment like that help you guys?
Well, I don't know if the focus would be. I think you got to balance it out. Defense is what won us a lot of games last season, and I'll never get away from that, and I put the defense in early because I knew we had the 2 games in the Bahamas. So, the offense pretty much had to wait because the system had to be put in play for us to even be competitive in the Bahamas. And um, I will never get away from our defensive system and how hard I push guys to defend. I just think offensively, we just got to get a better flow and get guys comfortable in making shots. I mean, that's to me is the big part of it. It's not like we didn't work on shooting and things of that nature, shooting free throws. All of those areas we got to improve in, and it starts with him as well.
And the second part of that is, who are three? If you guys make a jump in 3-point shooting, who are 3 or 4 guys you look at and say they're really capable of taking steps?
It's not all of them. I mean, if you play minutes and you take those shots, I'm counting on you to make them. The Galloways, the Xaviers, Caleb Banks, if he comes in and plays, C.J. Gunn, Jalen Safino. I mean, Geronimo, Tamar Bates. I mean, we got enough guys that are putting in time this summer that I feel good about when they lace it up next year that they can make it. That's the only way I can feel. They got to make shots. And I'm not putting pressure on them, but that's the nature of the game when you're talking about trying to compete at a high level.
Okay, we're going to go Zach, and then we'll finish up. Rick, if you've got a Louisville-based question for everybody, go ahead. Zach?
I guess circling back to talking about Trace and that being the first time you really kind of built an offense around starting with a post player the way you did last year. What do you feel like you learned, and I guess how do you maybe take some of that to challenge him this year, coming back, pushing him, whether it's stuff he's producing or his leadership, whatever it is?
Well, let me say this. I had Amari and Melo in New York, and both were with Trace. It was basically for us inside, although he handled the ball a lot more than he did in the past, out on the floor, making plays with the ball. He even led breaks at times when he got the rebound. Um, I just got to get Trace in a better place, and because his shot is not that bad, guys, when he shoots it. I just got to get him here mentally where he's okay, and because it's okay with me. If the coach says it's okay, it should be okay with you. So I got to get him more comfortable, and I don't think it's going to take away from what he does on the low block. I really don't. Because again, he's going to have opportunities to handle the ball out front. He's just got to be able to make plays when he has it in his hands.
Okay, last question, Rick.
Yeah, Mike, I know you're friends with Kenny Payne. Just your reaction to him getting the job at Louisville, and any progress at all, a possibility of a Indiana Louisville or Indiana Kentucky?
Well, I couldn't be more happier for a guy. I've known Kenny for many, many years, and he finally got his big break to come back home to Louisville where he played. I think he's going to do great things there because he's a competitive guy and he knows the recruiting game. He's been a part of the college game, just a short stint in the NBA. But, I think I've had the opportunity to talk to Kenny and their AD, and he promised me something in 2 years. Once Kenny got up and going, that we could possibly get a game with Louisville in a couple of years, which, I'll take that all day long because I know it'll be a competitive game, and our Indiana fans kind of like playing Kentucky fans anyway. So the Kentucky game is something that I got to go back to the table with Cal. He and I have addressed it, early on when I got the job, but I'm not going to let it die. I'm going to stay on his heels about trying to get the Kentucky-Indiana series back on the table, man, because I just think, over the years, man, that was a hell of a game, going to Lexington and them coming down to Bloomington. So, and it might not be Bloomington, Lexington, I don't know, but however way we can get it done, I'll take it. So we just got to figure that part of it out.
Okay, Coach, thank you everyone for coming out.
Hey, thank you guys. Enjoy the evening.